Hello students. So yesterday we have started with the meristematic tissues. In the meristematic tissue we came to know that the cells of the meristematic tissues, they are ever dividing cells. Okay? And these cells are responsible for the elongation of the parts of the plant. Meristematic tissues, on the basis of their location, they are basically divided into three types, and that is intercalary, apical meristem, and that of the lateral meristems. The apical meristems, they are also divided into two, that is root apical meristem and the shoot apical meristem. When we talk about the root apical meristem, students, the root apical meristems are basically responsible for the formation of a root cap as well as the elongation of the roots. While that of the shoot, it is not only responsible for the shoot elongation, but it also arises the permanent tissues. The permanent cells also arises from these meristematic tissues, as well as some of the cell, they get separated and they forms the intercalary and later on the lateral meristems. Now today we will start with the simple permanent tissues. So we will talk about the permanent tissue, students. So when we talk about the permanent tissue, permanent, it means mature. Here when we use the term that is permanent, it means mature. Okay, so in a permanent tissue, it is a matured one. So we can say that it is not having the power of a division. Okay, means it will not divide, or it will lose the ability to divide, and that's why we use the term that is permanent tissues. So basically when we talk about the simple permanent tissues or the permanent tissues, you see these tissues, they are arises from the meristematic. So what happened when we were talking about the meristematic tissue in that of the STEM student, then we came to know that some of the meristematic tissues, they divide themselves, they get separated from that of the meristematic cells, and after separation they forms the other meristematic cells, other meristematic tissues, other type of meristematic tissue, as well as some of the cells, they lose their ability to divide and they become permanent tissue. So we can say that these cells derived from the division of the meristematic cells. Okay, the cells of these tissues, they gradually lose their power to divide and acquire a definite shape, size, and a function. So basically what happened when these cells, they get divided from that of the meristematic cell, from that of the cell division, then these cells of the tissues, they get a special function, they get a specialized function, and as well as a shape and a size. After getting a specialized function, they become a permanent tissue, and that's why we saying that these cells, they are having a definite shape, a definite size, as well as a function. Okay, and the development process by which the cell have been derived from the meristematic tissue and making it or giving it a permanent shape, size, and that of the function, this process is known as differentiation. Okay, so one was the cell elongation, where the cell division is continuously taking place and due to which the size increases. But when the cell, it get after division, after dividing, after separating, if it get a specialized function and a shape and a size, that process we call it a differentiation. So here in a permanent tissue, a differentiation process occurs. These tissue may be living or a dead. later on when we study, then we come to know that there are three type of permanent tissues, and out of these the one or two is living, or the other one is the dead cells or dead tissue. Now, when we talk about the permanent tissue, you know that while dividing, we had divided the permanent tissue again into two. That is the simple permanent tissue, and the second one is the complex permanent tissue. Okay, so these are the some of the features of that of the meristematic tissue. Now we will start with the simple permanent tissue. So when we talk about the simple permanent students, these tissues, they are mainly comprises of a same type of a cell which perform the function, and they all arises from the same origin. Okay, so they are having one function, they arises from the same origin, and they are comprises of the same cell. Okay, basically this simple permanent tissues, they are made up of a cell which are structurally and functionally similar. Okay, they are having almost similar structure, or almost different, or almost similar function also. Okay, now this simple permanent tissue is classified, is categorized into three, that is parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Okay, collenchyma, it is not chlorine, it is collenchyma, parenchyma and sclerenchyma. Okay, student, now we will start with that of the parenchyma tissue. Okay, so in parenchyma cells, when we talk about the parenchyma cells, they are having thin walled, their outer layer is very thin. Okay, they are living, have a power of division, rounded or isodiametric. We will see one by one. So basically in parenchyma cells, they are having a thin wall, and the primary and the secondary wall which is present in that of the parenchyma, they are consisting of a cellulose or hemicellulose. Okay, so the wall through which it is made, it is basically consisting of the hemicellulose or cellulose. These two are deposited on it. Okay, so the first one is, it is thin wall. The primary and the secondary wall is having the cellulose and a hemicellulose which is deposited on it. Expanded on all the sides. Okay, so they are isodiametric, that is they are equal at all the places. Now, not only this, even the shapes, they are variable. They may be rounded. Let me show you. These are the type of a parenchyma cell. Some are rounded, some are oval shape, some are hexagonal, or others it can be polygonal. So they are isodiametric. The diameter of the cell is equal. They are equally expanded on all the sides. Even they are of a different shapes. Okay, when we see that of the parenchyma cell, student, then what you will see, that is, one second, these parenchyma cells, normally they are loosely packed. Okay, and just because they all are loosely packed, they are having a intercellular spaces also. So just the cells, they are loosely packed with each other. There is a small space is present in it. So they are having a intercellular space. Now if we see the diagram of a oval parenchyma, then student, you can see here the wall, it is thick and it is having a intercellular spaces. The intercellular spaces are visible. So in the oval shape or in that of the rounded shape, the intercellular space you can see properly. Not only in that of the oval shape or the rounded shape, but even if a cell is having a hexagonal structure, even then also the intercellular spaces are visible to us. Now this parenchyma, basically this parenchyma, it is of two types. That is arenchyma and chlorenchyma. So what is chlorenchyma, students? Chlorine, it is not choline, it is chlorine. Okay, so chlorenchyma is that parenchyma cells. Some of the parenchymatic cells, they are having the chloroplast in it. Okay, and if they are consisting of the chloroplast, so the presence of the chlorophyll, that will help it in performing the photosynthesis. So such type of a parenchymatic cell which is having the chlorophyll in it, or which possesses the chloroplast in it, that can perform the function of the photosynthesis. Okay, so they may have the chloroplast which help in performing the photosynthesis. The second type of a parenchyma is that of the arenchyma, which is also a type of a parenchyma cells. So in case of a arenchyma, students, why the term arenchyma is there? Just because air cavities are present in it, the air space are present in it. And what is the role of these air space or air cavities in the parenchyma tissue? That it provide buoyancy to that of the aquatic plants. Okay. So this is the arenchyma. So chlorenchyma was that kind of a parenchyma cell in which there is a chloroplast present in it, or a chlorophyll is present in it. That chlorophyll or chloroplast help in carrying the photosynthesis, help in performing the process of photosynthesis. Function of the arenchyma, that it is having the air cavities, air spaces in it, and due to which it provide buoyancy, especially to that of the aquatic plants. So these are arenchyma. There is another type of a parenchyma, or you can say the function of a parenchyma. That kind of a parenchyma is known as a storage parenchyma. So the function of the storage parenchyma, it help in storing the secretory, it act as a secretory cells. It means it help in storing that of the nutrient and water in it. Okay, students, so these are the some special type of a parenchyma tissues: chlorenchyma, arenchyma, and storage parenchyma. Now, if we talk about the location of this parenchyma tissue, then you see that it is basically found in all the parts of the plant. That is, it forms the ground tissue in leaves, in a stem, in roots, in fruits, and many more. Now you see the center part, it is basically found in the cortex part of the stem and the root. Okay, so it is present at the cortex portion of the stem and the root. So in stem and root, it is present at the cortex part. When we talk about the leaves, student, so you see it is basically present in that of the mesophils. So it is present in the mesophils. Mesophils, it means it is present in between that of the upper epidermis and to that of the lower epidermis of the leaves. So in roots and stem, it is present at the cortex part, and in leaves it is present at the as a mesophyll cells, okay, which is the middle portion which is present in between the upper and the lower epidermis of the leaf. Okay, so there is a parenchymatous cell, and these parenchymatous cells, they are closely packed. When you see at the upper side, student, you can see that these are very closely packed with each other, near to that of the lower to that of the upper epidermis. And when as they are compactly packed, as they are closely packed, these parenchymatous cells, basically known as a palisade parenchyma. Okay, while if you see at the lower side of lower epidermis, or just above to that of the lower epidermis, here the parenchyma is present. It is loosely packed. It is not compactly packed, but it is loosely packed, and that's why such a type of a parenchyma is known as a spongy parenchyma. So you see that it is present in the mesophyll cells of the leaves, and lower to that of the upper epidermis, the cells of the parenchyma are compactly packed, and that's why we use the term that is palisade parenchyma. And the portion above to that of the lower epidermis, the parenchyma cell, it is loosely packed, and such kind of a parenchyma, it is known as a spongy parenchyma. So it is present at that of the stem, at the root, in the leaves also. Now we will talk about the function of the parenchyma. So what are the different function of the parenchyma? Right now we have discussed something about that of the erenchyma and collenchyma. By this you will get the idea that what are the different function of the parenchyma. Let me remind you that we studied in the storage parenchyma that it helps in storing the material. So the first function, that it stores starch, protein, hormone, etc. Okay, so it acts as a storage cell, not only to that of the good thing, that is the starch and the protein, but some of the waste products are also present in it. That is, the gum is there, tannin is there, resins are there. These all are the waste material which will come outside through the stem of the plant, and it is stored in that of the parenchymatous tissue. Okay, so the first function is the storage of the material. Second, it also help in the metabolic activities of the plant. You know, student, since it is having the intracellular spaces, the wall between them are not thick. We can say that the exchange of the material between the parenchymatous cell can take place easily, and that's why the cells are able to survive, or they are able to perform the metabolic activities of the life process. That's why we can say that these parenchymatous tissues, they are living tissues, because the exchange of the material and other metabolic activities can take place in it very easily. It forms the packaging tissue between the specialized tissue. So it also help in packing the tissues. It provides turgidity and it provides the mechanical strength. as well as collenchyma help in performing photosynthesis. So some of the cells are also present in it, which consisting of the chloroplast, and due to which the plant is able to perform, these tissues are able to perform the process of photosynthesis. So these are the some of the structure, function, and basic thing about that of the parenchymatous tissue. Now we will see the another type of a tissue, the second one, and that is the collenchymatous tissue. Collenchyma. Here we had using the term chlorenchyma. That one is collenchyma. Collenchyma. So when we talk about the collenchyma, it is also a it is also a type of a ground tissue, or we can say that it is a second type of a ground tissue. The first one was the parenchyma, and the second one is that of the collenchyma. Now if we talk about the shape, it is just as usual like that of the parenchyma. In parenchyma, the cells are again oval in shape in that of the rounded. The same thing with that of the collenchyma. The cells are oval, rounded, hexagonal or polygonal in shape. In collenchyma tissue, there is a deposition of pectin, which make it different from that of the parenchyma. So we can say that along with that of the cellulose and that of the hemicellulose, there is a deposition of pectin is also on that of the is also present in that of the collenchyma cell. We studied in that of the parenchyma that there is on the layer only the cellulose, and that of the hemicellulose is present on it or is deposited on it, but here there is a deposition of pectin is also there, and this deposition is basically present at the edges. Okay, or it is this deposition is mainly towards that of the corners of the collenchymatous cell. Okay, so this thing, that is the pectin, is present in that of the collenchyma, which is not present in that of the parenchyma. But here the pectin deposition is more towards the corner. Now, because of the deposition of the pectin, you can see here the intracellular space. The black portion is showing the pectin deposition. Okay, so this is the covered portion. So you see here, due to the deposition of pectin, the intercellular spaces are lost. This is the intercellular spaces, and in between the intercellular spaces, pectins are deposited on it. Okay, so deposition of pectin, it makes the intercellular spaces close, or the intercellular spaces are lost. So pectin deposition is there in the intracellular spaces of the collenchyma. But you see, students, that in spite of the deposition of the pectin on the collenchyma, even then also these collenchyma will remain as a living cell. Okay, why is it so? Because the deposition of the pectin occur at the corners. Okay, so the cells are able to exchange the material, exchange the substances from one cell to the another, and due to which the process, the life process or the metabolic activities can take place. Okay, so the pectin deposition will not going to make it a dead cell, but it will remain as a living cell, since exchange of the substances can be easily take place, as the pectin deposition occur at the corner, not at the middle. So the walls by which the exchange of the material, exchange of the substance, it can easily take place and the metabolic activities can be carried out properly. Now you see, we have studied in that of the parenchyma cells. They are always living cells since there is no deposition of the pectin. Okay, so they can exchange the material and they can carry the metabolic activities or the process. It can take place very easily. But pectin present in that of the collenchyma, it occurred at the corner, at the edges, and which is there, and but it will not going to interfere in the process which is occurring in it, that is the transferring of the material. It will not going to interfere in that. Now if we talk about the location, student, so these pectin, it is very important because the deposition of the pectin, if you see that this pectin is responsible to provide the mechanical strength. Okay, so its location is also dependent on its function. Okay, since the pectin is responsible for giving the strength, so it decides its location. So basically it is found at the base of the petiole. I think you have studied in the leaves, the petiole is the base of the leaf. Okay, so it is found at the base of the petiole, and you see in that of the leaves, it provides the strength as well as it provides the flexibility, right? So flexibility is also there, and as well as that of the strength is there. So what happened that the mechanical tissues which is the living mechanical tissues which is consisting of that of the collenchymatous cell, it provide the flexibility. Now why the flexibility is important, student? The flexibility, you see, when a wind blows, the leaf, it flutter. Okay, it flutter, but it does not fall off. What does that indicate? It indicates that leaf is flexible, but it is not very weak. So as fast as the wind blow, but it will not going to make it separate from that of the branches. It will remain present in it. What does that indicate? That the leaf base, it is having something which is providing it strength as well as providing its flexibility, and that is due to the deposition of the collenchymatous tissue in it. Now the second location, fruits. So you see that it is also present at the base of the fruit, the place from where the fruit is attached to the branches. So the question arises that the ripe fruit, they can fall off very easily. So basically these collenchymatous cells are present at the base of the raw fruit. So you see, student, the raw fruit, it does not move even the wind blows. It is because of the presence of the collenchyma. And you see what happened in the ripe fruit, why they fall off when the wind blow? It is because of the formation of a hormone, that is the plant hormone or a phytohormone, which is known as a abscisic acid. So a layer of a abscisic acid is formed at the base of the fruit, make it weak, and due to which it falls off. But if a fruit is raw, then this collenchyma is present at the base, and due to which it does not fall off. The third location is that it is basically present at that of the dicot seed, dicot plant. So it is also present in that of the dicot stem, and in dicot stem, where it is present in the hypodermis. Let me tell you that hypodermis is the layer which is just below to that of the epidermis. Epidermis is the outer layer, and the hypodermis is the second layer. So the location of the is hypodermis of that of the dicot stem. Okay, so there is a layer hypodermis, and the hypodermis of the dicot stem, we can say it is collenchymatous. Okay, so these are the certain location of a collenchyma tissues. Now we will see the structure again. We will revise the structure. It is polygonal in shape as well as elongated. It can be of variable shape, students. The end of the cell wall, it may be tapered just because of the presence of the pectin. The cells are closely packed with a very small or no intercellular spaces. You know it that in collenchyma there is no intercellular spaces in it because of the deposition of pectin. The cell wall are unevenly thickened with deposition of a cellulose, pectin and a hemicellulose. So the walls, it consisting of three things: cellulose, hemicellulose and that of the pectin. And the thickening occur usually at the corner of the cell wall. I told you that this thickening is due to the presence of the pectin, and pectin is basically present at the corner of the that of the cell wall. Okay, which is called the angular collenchyma. Pits are present in the wall. So in the walls, pits are present. So you can see the transfer of the material from one cell to the another cell can take place through these pits properly. Okay, and that's why this collenchyma tissue is a living tissue. So parenchyma and collenchyma both are the living tissue. Now, what are the different functions of that of the collenchyma? So you see, student, it provides the mechanical strength. It is the primary function. You know that due to the presence of the pectin at the corner, at the edges of the wall of the collenchyma cell, so it helps in providing the strength. It helps in providing the mechanical strength to it. As well as it also provides flexibility. You know that pectin is there not only giving the strength, but it also help in giving the flexibility to it. So it gives the strength as well as that of the flexibility. Some of the collenchyma, they are having the chlorophyll in it. They are having the chloroplast, and because of the presence of the this chloroplast, they may perform photosynthesis. Okay, so this is the function in which it provides mechanical strength, it provides flexibility, as well as it also help in carrying the process of photosynthesis. Okay, location, I told you it is present epidermis, just below the epidermis in the dicostamen leaves, that is the hypodermis of the dicostamen leaves. They are absent in dicot root and present in all the monocot plants. So in monocot plant they are present in all the parts, but in dicot, in roots, they are absent, but it is present in the hypodermis of stem and leaves. So this is the location and function of that of a collenchyma.